Okay, welcome back to another episode of Banking Without Borders. Today we're going to compare Trading 212 and Revolut, but specifically through the lens of cards, spending, rewards, and travel. And I think what may surprise a lot of people is that Trading 212, which most people still think of primarily as an investing platform, has quietly built a card that in some ways can actually be more rewarding and potentially better for international spending than a company like Revolut, which was originally built around international payments and spending. Now, that doesn't automatically mean Trading 212 is better overall, because who comes out ahead, I really think depends on you and your spending habits and what you actually want from the account. But in some categories, one is clearly stronger than the other. Now, before we get into it, there are a couple of important things we need to mention. First, the Trading 212 card is available with an invest account. And if you are investing with Trading 212, your capital is at risk and you may get back less than invested. And past performances don't guarantee future results. Second, the Trading 212 card is issued by Paynetics, which provides the payment services, while Trading 212 provides the customer support and the user interface. Revolut, by contrast, provides its card experience within a much broader financial ecosystem. And as some of you may be aware, as of the 11th of March 2026, Revolut are a fully licensed bank in the UK, which is an immediate structural difference between these two platforms. So Jan, with that in mind, why don't we just begin with the simple stuff, like what can we actually do with these cards?
Johnny, in terms of basic card functionality, these platforms operate very, very similarly. Both offer physical debit card, both offer virtual cards, which you can create pretty seamlessly with a few taps within the app. And you also get a chance to use single-use virtual cards, which you can utilize for online purchases where you might not trust the merchant fully. It's a more secure options to handle these kind of transactions.
Excellent. And they both allow ATM withdrawals, right? Trading 212 is surprisingly better.
I agree. Trading 212 offers up to £400 per month in fee-free ATM withdrawals. After that, a 1% withdrawal fee applies. And with Revolut, the ATM limits depend on the account plan. The free account, which is standard, you get £200 of fee-free ATM withdrawals or 5 withdrawals per month. On Plus, that limit stays the same at £200 per month. Premium gives £400 per month. Metal £800 per month and Ultra £2,000 per month, which sounds good on paper, but keep in mind that the Ultra plan literally costs £55 per month, so I'm not sure that's a fair comparison. With Revolut, after you exceed your allowance, they charge 2% of the withdrawal amount or a minimum of £1 per withdrawal, which is also twice as much as Trading 212 charges. It's fascinating, literally. If you compare Trading 212 with the standard Revolut account, I would say it seems twice as good, right? You get a limit which is twice as high, and if you exceed it, you pay half the fee. What's that?
Yeah, that's a really, really good point. I mean, we're about to go into foreign currency spending as well, but what we should also mention is the weekend surcharge, right, Jan? For those that are using that standard account, if they do withdraw money internationally on the weekend, they're going to have the surcharge, which I believe is 1%.
Yeah, foreign currency spending, Johnny, is a whole nother topic. Both platforms are multi-currency friendly. Both platforms allow you to hold several currencies within the app. You can convert them within a few taps within your app. It's pretty seamless. If you use Trading 212 to make international purchases, if you use their card, you pay 0% FX fees and they use the true interbank rate. If you go ahead and decide to make a manual currency conversion, it's a 0.15% conversion fee. Also the other fees that may apply, but that's pretty low. I mean, we both agree to that. With Revolut, It's slightly different. So they use something we've mentioned in the past. They call it the Revolut rate, which is essentially the mid-market rate plus a markup, which they then pocket in. Then there's also something which we have to explain. They call it a fair usage fee, a fair usage limit. So that's essentially a limit that they give you on how often you can take advantage of that Revolut rate every single month. With standard, that limit is tiered at £1,000 per month before they charge a 1% fair usage fee. With Plus, it's £3,000 per month. Higher tier plans don't have a limit, but I think that's ridiculous because the Revolut rate is something they earn a profit on, right? They have a markup in that. Why would there be a fair usage fee? There's literally just a way to encourage people to use these higher tier packages and pay Revolut. Ideally subscribe and pay them a calculatable amount of money every single month.
Yeah, and this is why I said what I said in the beginning of the intro, talking about, Revolut, originally, were this really favorable international spending card, right, Jan? And now we see that they've actually created these different alleyways to encourage greater spending or to generate more revenue from fees for international spending. Jan mentioned the Revolut rate, but like I mentioned, the weekend surcharge, you've got the fair usage policy or the fair usage threshold. I mean, all of these different things, Jan. And then you compare that to Trading 212, who are just offering this transparent, non-convoluted fee setup. It's just simple, isn't it, buddy? It's like not like interbank rate, 0% fee. Some fees may apply if you're like exchanging multi-currencies or currencies in app, but that's it. Like it took me, I didn't do a very good job of explaining it, but it took me like less than 15 seconds, I think, to tell you Trading 212's fee structure. But Jan spent, buddy, how long? A minute talking about Revoluts?
Yeah, most likely. It's fascinating how much simpler and how much more competitive Trading 212 is. When Revolut initially when they launched, they were claiming to be a great travel card, right? I think that was part of their value proposition. Now I'm not so sure that's true anymore.
I think on the large grand scale of like, say if you were to put them against like a legacy bank, I mean in the UK I can think of a couple awful ones, but like TSB for example, you may not have heard of, but they have some pretty awful international spending setups if you're just going for like the bog standard card, where Revolut will be better. But they're no longer the top of the pyramid, are they?
Nah. I doubt it.
Whether or not that's Trading 212, we're not here to talk about the wider landscape, but Trading 212 is certainly up there above Revolut. Is it the same, for cashback and for rewards?
I think it is.
Oh dear.
Yeah, there's a difference on how these two platforms reward their users. Trading 212, they do it in a pretty simple way. You're getting cashback every month that's capped at £15 or €15 per month. Yeah, there's a system in place that rewards you with up to 1.5% cashback on card spending when you activate something that's called cashback investing. It's essentially that's a promotion that they're running right now until July 31st, I believe. Might be extended then, we'll see. But essentially what they do is they automatically invest your cash back. And outside of that promotion, if you choose not to invest your cash back, or you're just late to the party, let's say you're watching this video in 6 months or so and July 31st has passed and they're not having that promotion anymore, then it's 0.5% of cashback that they reward you. And with Revolut, it's much more complicated. RevPoints. Johnny, do you want to cover that really quick?
Yeah, so we know Trading 212 keeps it simple, but Revolut works very differently because instead of cashback, you're getting RevPoints. So on the free standard plan, you earn 1 point for every £10 spent, and then the earning rate gets much stronger as you move up the paid tiers. But this is the important part. So a RevPoint is not the same thing as cash, and the value depends entirely on how you redeem it. So if you transfer RevPoints 1-to-1 into airline miles, then redeem those miles, and if you do it well, say on premium cabins, you might get something closer to 1p per point or sometimes more. But that is not automatic. And it definitely should not be treated as a guaranteed value on every redemption. But if we do use that 1p per point framing, just as a rough benchmark, let's say, then Revolut standard is effectively around 0.1%, premium around 0.25, metal around 0.5, and ultra around 1%. But again, that only really holds up if you redeem well. And of course, if you redeem poorly, then your return will be a lot lower. And that's why if you're comparing the free accounts, so Revolut Standard against Trading 212, it's quite clear that Trading is the more straightforward winner on rewards. But where Revolut becomes more interesting, and I think this is important to mention, for someone who already understands points or really already values airline miles and is willing to work a bit harder to extract maximum value, then in this case, RevPoints can absolutely be more compelling than cashback. Of course, we should also mention there are plenty of ways you can redeem RevPoints, whereas cashback is just cashback, right, Jan? I mean, gift cards, for example, you can get those with RevPoints, although I'm not sure that's the best way to redeem.
Yeah, I can tell you, it's around 0.7p per point. So it's not good. It's not the average of 1p per point that we typically calculate, but it's still better than with other airline miles programs. I think I brought up the example before that I went ahead with Miles & More and looked at purchasing an Airbnb gift card, and it was literally twice as expensive as it would have been with RevPoints.
So thus far, Revolut hasn't done that well. Let's try to defend Revolut a little bit and talk about the wider ecosystem, because this is quite clearly where Revolut will dominate, because their accounts are a lot more than just banking products. They're essentially lifestyle subscriptions, and Revolut's, we all know this, Revolut's pay plans often include various subscriptions. You get travel insurances, eSIMs, RevPoints that I just mentioned, and also access to airport lounges. And inside that, you've also got the financial banking tools as well, like budgeting, bill splitting. You've got accounts for your children if you need them, and business accounts are also available. Again, I don't think people listening to this are expecting Trading 212 to be able to compete with Revolut on those different products, but I think that's worth mentioning, Jan. I think it's worth mentioning, reiterating that Revolut does have a lot more to offer, but there are still just a few real fundamental things that we all take advantage of. One of them is going to be international spending. Most people at some point are going to spend internationally and being rewarded for your spending. Not everyone is taking advantage of rewards, but we should all be trying to seek it out. Trading 2-on-2, Jan, is quite clearly the winner on those two, international spending and rewards. I don't see it otherwise. I welcome anybody in the comments that can defend Revolut on this, possibly from a RevPoints airline miles program perspective, mate.
You can't. Sorry, you can't, Johnny. You can't. At least not standard. I mean, you can argue that these premium tiers, they might have they might be slightly better. You could definitely argue that. I might agree. But the comparison just is unfair. Because one thing is a free account and the other one is a premium lifestyle product, which includes a bunch of other subscriptions. A lot of things that you might need, you might not need. So it's a whole different product to compare. But if you compare standard and trading 2-on-2, I don't think that Revolut could be the winner at all.
I think for a larger, broad spectrum of people, it's very easy to see trading 2-on-2 be beneficial. Whereas when you look possibly into the lifestyle benefits, that comes down to more about personal behavior, the way people spend their money, the way people live their lives. Then there will be a subset of people that will benefit from Revolut's higher tier programs. But it's just like for like, Revolut standard to trading 2-on-2, I think it's pretty obvious who the winner here is. But again, we welcome people in the comments to give us their argument. I'd love to hear from you. Maybe you're benefiting from Revolut in a way that we haven't referenced that puts them ahead of trading 2-on-2. And so maybe you're someone who's using trading 2-on-2 and having a great time with it. Particularly, Jan, that 1.5% cashback investing promotion, that is fantastic. I'm surprised Revolut haven't taken, we might even see Revolut do something similar with that. I'm not sure. They're very stuck with RevPoints and I can't see them offering cashback, so to speak, but maybe RevPoints and investing could be tied together. But if you're not yet using trading 2-on-2 and you're interested in it, we do have a coupon BWB that will actually give you a reward of £25 when you make 3 transactions of £5 or more. So it's pretty simple to get £25 with that coupon. That's BWB. Use the link in the description if you'd like to support us. It won't cost you any money at all, and you'll be allowing Jan and I to continue making episodes like this one. Everybody, thank you very much for tuning in again. We hope you enjoyed it. If you're watching on YouTube, give us a like. And if you're listening on Apple or Spotify or wherever you get your podcast, please do consider giving us a 5-star rating. Jan, is there anything else to add before we go?
I don't think so. Thanks everyone for listening. It's been a pleasure as always, and see you in the next episode.